Hey guys, yep, it's that time again where I make a video about, well, whatever I feel like. Required comic book continuations. TV programs that have already continued into comic books is Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Angel and Smallville, and they're all enjoying great success. As for movies, we've got Aliens and Predator, and Aliens vs Predator, which is why there were 2 films. And we've had Ghostbusters, Firefly, which is also Serenity, RoboCop, we've got Doctor Who and Star Trek, Star Wars. Trust me, there's lots out there. But the reason I'm making this video is because there are certain TV programs and movies that I want to see continued in comic books. Top of my list, Stargate. And I'm talking about continuing all the franchises in just one book. You know, is SG-1 still around? What happened with Atlantis after the program finished? What about the Crew of Destiny? They never got a proper ending. Another one I'd like to see, The Matrix. Yes, I know there's a graphic novel out there. I've got it. I'd like to see sort of a next generation sort of thing. Neo is supposed to return every 30 or 40 years. I'd like to see the next stage of that. Like for example, is there still peace between humans and machines? And the biggest question we need answered? Who the fudge was the architect and what in blazes was he talking about? Because nobody knows, not even the Wachowskis. Another series that they really need to continue in comic books? Quantum Leap. You know, Sam Beckett travelling through time. So a lot of fans out there, including myself, have seen the end and thinking, oh, there are more adventures to be had. Where are they? Another TV programme that could be converted into comic book? Knight Rider. And no, I'm not talking about the rebooted version. And no, I'm not talking about Team Knight Rider. The less said about that, the better. I'm talking about the classic Hasselhoff TV show. Now I know there were some annuals that came out around the time it was out because I still have mine. But anybody who's watched that show know that it got cancelled at the end of the 4th season. And then it never carried on. Unless you count Knight Rider 2000. Which not many people do. That blooming red car. Even if it was a miniseries, we could get a great send-off for it. Just recently they've come out with Batman 66, based on the 60s TV series. You should see the art in it, it's fantastic. With that in mind, they could continue Christopher Reeve's Superman. It would be awesome! Unless he was once again trying to get rid of all the missiles in the world. That film sucked. What about Roswell? That was a short-lived TV show, it only lasted 3 years. We need things answering like, where are the characters now? We need to know. Well, I do anyway. What about Terminator, the Sarah Connor Chronicles? Its 2nd season finished on a cliffhanger, and then it got cancelled. They continue Terminator Salvation in comic books, so that one should be allowed too. What about Thundercats? And I'm not talking about the crappy reboot. I'm talking about the original series, and it needs more stories. More fleshed out stories that are not cheesy, like the show, in its later years. Like when they were doing all of that Book of Omens rubbish, and fixing every problem with that damn sword. Somebody's falling out of the sky. Thundercats ho! Oh, he's rescued. That rock's about to squash everybody. Thundercats ho! Not now. Toaster's broken. Thundercats ho! Oh, it's fixed. I do love the show, but some of the stories. Which is why we need more adventures in comic book form. As I've already mentioned, we've got Doctor Who. Quite a few of them in fact. Not long ago they started with a David Tennant version, a Matt Smith version, and now a Peter Capaldi version. Not to mention the classic ones that they've already been doing. So with that being said, what about Torchwood? That's one series that could really carry on. Like myself, all those who saw the end of Miracle Day probably thought, oh great, there's going to be another series. Where is it? Oh that's right, no plans to do it. Despite the fact that the actors do want to. So let's see a continuation in comic books. Just think of all those characters they can bring back. Because you know, nobody stays dead in comic books. This video's turned into a bit of a rant, hasn't it? It's not, I promise. And to be honest, one of those that I've mentioned probably has been a comic book. And I'm sure if some of you know that, you'll have pointed it out in the comments below. I'm going to go now, but before I do, I just want to point out these other boxes at the side of me. They're links to other videos that I've made, like Smeg Chris, my main show, Smeg Chris Review. And of course on my second channel, I do my vlogs. And also down here you can see that it says follow me on Facebook and Twitter, if you like. The links are down there below. And up here it says please subscribe, only if you want to. I'm going to stop rambling now and go. So until the next time, peace out. A lot of fans out there, including myself, thought, oh, that's how it... I'm going to die.